Alright, let's cover how to deal with Darkrai. As with most matchups against Darkrai, the main focus should be winning field phase. Losing field not only denies you of synergy meter and health restoration, but it puts Darkrai into Bad Dreams Rising, which can win it the entire round off of one phase shift. In field phase, your main concerns are going to be back Y, nasty plot, back X. Back Y is going to be the only real way to keep you out, since Dark Pulse, forward Y, and neutral Y get out prioritized pretty easily, or they can just be CADC to be avoided. In fact, remember to CADC a nasty plotted forward Y whenever you see it, because it gives you a ton of synergy. Check this out. That was just from 2 forward Ys. Now the thing with back Y is Darkrai has to keep on moving to keep setting it up. See, no matter where I'm setting it up, it keeps moving me backwards. This is just back Y. It will keep on moving me towards the wall. If I try to go to the side over here, I have to keep on following it. So if you try to flank it to one side or the other, it's going to force Darkrai to move wherever you want it to move. This is why side Y is still a good move, because it forces Darkrai to move where you want it to. It moves you to the side, makes Darkrai go towards the wall, and it cuts off the angles that Darkrai might want to go to. So you see Darkrai right now, it's going to its left, right? So you cut it off at that angle, and you can still hit it. Even though most of your side Ys are going to get absorbed, just being able to force Darkrai towards the wall is going to be super useful for you. And again, as I've said many times, the closer our opponent is to the wall, the easier they are to hit, because they have nowhere to run to escape your mix-up. Darkrai is going to have trouble constantly setting up those back Ys when it's near the wall, and then you can interrupt it before it does, oftentimes with forward Y. So let's see if I can get a read right before he does it, and then I can forward Y him before that thing activates. Obviously it's not a read because, I know what the computer is doing, but that's how I get a lot of Darkrai's, and that's how, as playing Darkrai, I get hit a lot. Because people are just throwing out the forward Ys before I have a chance to set up another one. Now, always threaten the throw, but be conservative about actually going for it, because a lot of times Darkrai are going to start panicking and throw out like a back X. You mostly just want Darkrai to start throwing out buttons when you're close up. It has no actual answer for jumping Y, as it'll go over back X. So let me show this. Alright, so let's say if I was pressuring Darkrai and I did a homing and I jumped. That will go right over it. A lot of moves are like that. Jumping Y will just go completely over Darkrai's back X. And jumping Y will erase the puddles, which is really, really useful. In fact, neutral Y erases the puddles as well. Darkrai's main defense is going to be to try to use Nasty Plot to absorb your side Y and jump Y, and to get you to run into a clone explosion. Now, you can abuse Darkrai trying to absorb your side Y by activating mirrors right before it makes contact. So, a lot of times with Darkrai, let's turn this stuff off. He's going to sit here, and then right when your side Y would make contact with them, they're going to try to absorb it. So right there, they would try to absorb your nasty, or they would try to absorb your side Y. So what you can do is put it right before it touches them. So right there it touches them, right before it touches them, and you can get them to activate their nasty plot in this time. And a lot of times you can punish it with your forward Y. Just like that. Either way, you get solid pressure and make Darkrai freeze up long enough for a back Y rift to wear off, and that's the main thing you're going to want to worry about. Neutral Y up close is a pretty powerful check to anything Darkrai can throw out. Mixing up your cancels between, Miracle Eye Grab, Sidewave Slash, and Teleport. That will be that. And even Air Teleport, you can really finesse your way around Darkrai. It's pretty cool. So let's say you're really frustrated getting into Darkrai's camping with all this stuff, it's absorbing all your projectiles. Level 3 blast them, because if they're setting up stuff without paying too much attention, this is an S tier level projectile priority, so I'm just going to go right through it. And YOLO forward Y is also pretty useful, like I mentioned, because sometimes you will get them with it, especially if you're going in the same direction they are. See, if I'm trying to follow him and the way he's going, it's going to be a lot more difficult. But if I know, let's say Darkrai is going to its right, so I cut it off going to the right, then a lot of times I can hit it with the forward Y before it's able to set up another back Y. Now, when you're on defense in field phase, opt for getting grabbed 9 times out of 10, because honestly, that exchange is still in Shadow Mewtwo's favor. So, if I'm Darkrai, right? If I'm Darkrai and I'm going for all this, nonsense, if I'm Shadow Mewtwo, I just don't want to get hit. You know what I mean? If I get grabbed, check a look at that. You're not going into Bad Dreams Rising. And that's perfectly fine. If you go into Bad Dreams Rising, then you have a problem. And when Darkrai lacks frame advantage, or honestly, a lot of times even if it does have frame advantage, you can just jump Y out of pretty much everything you can do. Actually, let me go ahead and test if you can jump after a back X. Yeah, you can jump after Darkrai is +4. Let's see what happens if they try to do a forward Y. Oh, you go over that as well. So yeah, even if Darkrai is plus, like, there's not a whole lot that it can really do to stop your jump Y. Now, dual phase is where you get to really bully Darkrai. None of its pokes can really shut down 6x. Level 2 Blast is quite good just outside of Darkrai's 2x range. So if you're going for level 1 Blast, Darkrai can go under it. But level 2, it's really difficult for it to actually hit you under this. I'm not even sure if it can, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm not sure if it even can 2x under level 2 Blast. It might be extremely strict timing. But either way, level 2 Blast, even against normal Darkrai, is pretty good. Because outside of that 2x range, there's not really much you can really retaliate with. Okay, I guess, well, that might have been level 1 Blast. Anyway, Darkrai also has one of the worst anti-airs in the game. This 8Y is 23 frame startup, so if you're Shadow Mewtwo and you just jump over like a cross-up, it's almost impossible for Darkrai to consistently anti-air you. Now, Darkrai's walk speed is actually pretty fast. It makes it pretty tough to use Pillar on its own, even with an attack up. But if you bait it into backdashing away from your 6x range, and then you predictably backdash with it, there's not really much you can do about oncoming Pillar pressure. So let me see if I can show this. So yeah, let's say the Darkrai is tired of getting bullied by these 6x's, right? And it just wants to backdash out of all this stuff, right? So if I get it to backdash into a Pillar, yeah, so if it ends up backdashing while you're throwing out the blast, then it'll get stuck into the Pillar pressure right there. And obviously with an attack up, it's much more potent, but it still does pressure Darkrai. And helps you push it towards the corner, or, you can, if you ever do get to block a Pillar, you can dash up and go for whatever mix-up you want. Alright, so let's say I'm doing some pressure strings, and it wasn't really that safe. That's what's going to happen. That was minus. But let's see if I do something else like this. You got to keep those small gaps so that, they're going to hit before Nasty Bot becomes active, which is frame 5. But see, even that was +2. And I put too much of a gap, and then I can get, mass Nasty Plot. So just be very careful about this. Let's see if I do this one. Alright, that'll still hit. Let's see, what other type of pressure might I do? Yeah, so you also need to watch out for that. If you're going for anything with slash in it, you might have issues. 6x in the slash is a lot safer. The gap is a lot smaller, but if you're doing like jabs in the slash, or 2 Ys in the slash, or 2 Ys, even into like teleport stuff, just make sure that if you can air teleport up, if you don't think that they're going to use a 6Y, but just always be wary of Nasty Plot. Try to make that whip as much as you can. Again, in dual phase, just like field phase, if Darkrai ever gets close up with frame advantage, blocking is a pretty good choice since grab can't put you into Bad Dreams Rising. So Darkrai doesn't have too many moves that are positive on block. One of the only moves is like this, 6Y. There we go, the Just Frame on the 6Y. I'm not actually that good at it. That's +4. This pushes you back a lot, but it's actually -8, I think. Let me see. Wow, that's -12? That's crazy. Let me see if you can punish that. What? I don't know if that's really -12. Frame data says it's -12. I think it's -8. I'm mashing by 11 frames. But yeah. The charged 8Y, this is pretty positive. The frame data says +24. That's kind of I think it depends on how you get hit by it, honestly. But this move is pretty dangerous. You kind of want to block after you get hit by that. Or keep blocking it if you ever block that. And the clones are pretty plus too. A lot of times you just want to like jump out or honestly just keep blocking because you just don't want to get sent into Bad Dreams Rising. That's just the worst thing ever. Now when Darkrai does go into Nightmare, it's a pretty ugly battle, even if you manage to get burst. Your primary way to retaliate is with level 3 blast and really hard reads like jumping Y over projectiles or a delayed 6x or 2x to beat a ghost backdash. I can't really make the computer do what I want right here. Also remember to 8YY when you block drill. All these normals are pretty obnoxious. 6x, you know, charge 4x, and you see these disjointed hitboxes. You can't really do too much about them, to be honest with you. So you really just want to put your eggs in the basket of not getting into Bad Dreams Rising in the first place. You know, if you try to do a random jump Y, you're gonna go over this, but then you might get hit by this, and you might even get hit by this move going up. So it's just really difficult. But level 3 blast will go through like all this stuff, so just keep that in mind. Now remember that if you block this move, drill, go for that phase shift. If you really want to get greedy about it, you can go for the full combo. Let me see if I can get that on him. But 8YY is how you're going to punish it. Yeah, I didn't get the last hit, but you know, the point is you want to shift it out. Another interesting thing that you can do is, let me show you this actually. Like I said, being in dual phase against Darkrai is pretty good if it's not in Bad Dreams Rising. So what you could do, one of the things a lot of people do is they put Darkrai into a cinematic. If you put Darkrai in a cinematic, it ends Bad Dreams Rising. I think it's any cinematic in the game, like throws or any of that stuff. So, like, if you were doing like a combo, like you, for some reason, you landed like a 6x in the corner, instead of phase shifting it, you can just go for one hit of the side strike and then maybe you can do some pressure like that. Because Darkrai is not going to be in Bad Dreams Rising anymore, so it's not going to be able to backdash out of all your pressure. Now, if you want some more specific ways to deal with Darkrai in general, I have another video on it, but this is the main way to deal with it with Shadow Mewtwo. The thing is, oftentimes people ask me to make guides about how to stop Nightmare Darkrai, but the real answer is to stop Darkrai from winning field phase or landing a stray hit with level 4 pulse that'll put you in the Nightmare in the first place. Let me go ahead and show you this pulse, by the way. But when you see Darkrai with 4 orbs on its body, that means it can use this move that goes really far. And if you're on the ground, it'll stun you, and they can go right into Dark Void. So if you're in the air, usually it'll just knock you away. But that's a pretty dangerous move. And usually these cracks, they're not that dangerous, but the fact that it gets the orbs is the real problem. Because if it's going for any block strings, it can just do that. You can jump over that though, because it's a mid-low. So let me actually show that. Okay, yeah, that's pretty good option. Yeah, it's a mid-low though, so you can jump over that. Now let me summarize everything. You want to control Darkrai's positioning in field phase with side Y. Now don't get too close to the clones when they have them out. They can explode them with nasty plot. Try not to run into the back Ys, but make sure Darkrai gets near the wall so that you can properly pressure it. And if things are looking ugly, level 3 blast can clear the field of several projectiles in the game. In dual phase, the only thing you really have to worry about is a preemptive nasty plot in Bad Dreams Rising. Now avoid getting hit by that level 4 Dark Pulse as well, and Nasty Plot. But you can avoid Bad Dreams Rising entirely as long as you're not getting hit by stuff that'll lead it right into Bad Dreams Rising.